Topping tonight's news, a massive fire caused a section of Interstate 85 to collapse in Atlanta, leaving drivers stranded. Black smoke covered the roadway, and that was the least of officers' concerns. The massive fire caused the overpass on Interstate 85 in Atlanta to collapse. Officials say the fire, which burned for more than an hour, has been put out. The blaze burning underneath I-85 northbound near Piedmont Road shut down several roads in northeast Atlanta.
The company who built the bridge in the first place, and they are sending their people to assess the extent of the damage, and we're trying to determine everything we can about how quick can we repair it and get it back in service. That's obviously the goal. I want to commend the firefighters and our state patrol and the local law enforcement and emergency responders, because to my knowledge we have not had any injuries as a result of this fire on the bridge.
The Atlanta Police Department has issued a traffic alert advising drivers to find alternate routes around the area. Turning now to the weather, Reggie Roach joins us now with a first look at the forecast. Hey, Reggie.
Hey, Tamika. Well, earlier today, the big worry, many people were afraid of severe weather, but just as we forecasted, things stayed calm here. Coastal storms cut everything off, and the next system that's going to make an arrival already starting to move into Marion and Lamar counties right now. It just doesn't have the energy to really do anything. The big worry was that was going to bring some severe storms, but it doesn't look like it. We're starting to see just a few lighter showers left over from the first batch of rain starting to make their way out of East Alabama. Tomorrow looking very nice, lots of sunshine, temperatures getting into those 80s. I'll have the rest of your forecast later on in Maine weather. Tamika?
Thanks, Reggie. In Montgomery, attorneys for Governor Robert Bentley filed an emergency request asking that the impeachment process be slowed down. Governor Bentley's attorney says that the entire investigation has, quote, gone off the rails, and claims that committee chairman Jack Sharman has hijacked the investigation. The impeachment committee plans on releasing the investigative report on April 7th.
The committee recognized that the governor must be given due process. And these are the words of the committee's professional staff. Quote, the notion of due process requires that the governor be given an opportunity for confrontation and cross-examination and for discovery. To be clear, we have not been given discovery. We have not been given notice of even potential impeachment charges and have not been able to cross-examine witnesses.
The push for an impeachment stems from allegations that Bentley had an inappropriate relationship with his former aide, Rebecca Mason. Bentley has denied doing anything wrong or illegal. Two Alabama lawmakers are proposing a bill as an alternative to Governor Bentley's plan to relieve prison overcrowding. The main platform of the proposal would pay sheriffs to house 1,500 inmates in county jails instead of prisons. State Representative Johnny McMorrow and Representative Alan Farley held a joint press conference today to discuss the proposal. The Alabama Senate has already agreed to a plan to build 3 prisons, 2 by local authorities and 1 by the state. The CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of West Alabama has resigned after accusations that he possessed child pornography. Now, that's according to the club's board of directors. 42-year-old Anthony Bush was arrested Sunday night. Authorities have stated all of the images found were from the internet and not from any children who attended the club. The board says they will reopen the club for regular operation Monday, April 3rd. A fire destroyed a home in Tuscaloosa early this morning. The fire occurred at a home on Northeast 2nd Place. That's according to Tuscaloosa Fire and Rescue. The fire was caused by unattended cooking. There were no reports of injuries, but one person was taken to the hospital for medical reasons. Well, April is a busy month for the Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports Commission, with different events happening every weekend. Student reporter Olivia Whitmire has more on how these events are helping boost Tuscaloosa's economy.
No matter what time of year, there's always something to do in Tuscaloosa. But this year, April is a month full of fun.
The one and only Tuscaloosa is starting springtime off with a busy month of events. The Junior League Dragon Boat fundraiser, Roots Fest, and the Druid City Arts Festival are just a few of the festivities that will keep residents busy next month. Brant Lepish from Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports believes that the Tuscaloosa community enjoys and also values the city's busy schedule.
You see people in all different stages of life, and that's really what kind of unifies the community outside of a disaster, frankly. Just having that constant interaction, that constant shared space. And I think Tuscaloosa has really benefited from that, and hopefully will continue to.
Not only do the people of Tuscaloosa have fun at these events, but the city's tourism is also a huge economic driver. LePish said Tuscaloosa had an economic impact of over $46 million just last year from events put on by the city directly, which doesn't even include anything hosted by the university. The tourism industry not only affects the economy, but also the outlook of Tuscaloosa as a whole.
It's really important for the community to have that piece of our economy be an important and hold its own weight, so that we can continue to be a progressive community and continue to be somewhere that not only people want to live, but they also want to visit and are proud of.
LePish hopes to see both the community events as well as bigger tourist attractions continue to grow and make Tuscaloosa the best it can be.
This Saturday marks the beginning of the month with the Dragon Boat fundraiser in the afternoon and Roots Fest later that evening. For more information about times and locations, call Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports at 205-391-9200 or check out their website at visittuscaloosa.com. In the studio, Olivia Whitmire, WVUA 23 News.
40 teams of entrepreneurs battled it out today in hopes of winning a $50,000 grand prize. The students competed in the Edward K. ALDAG Junior Business Plan competition. Some of the participants were University of Alabama students who founded Biogram, a startup company intended to develop a plan for a medical device for heart surgery. The winners of the grand prize were Grant Becker, Kyle Peacock, and Andrew Johnson, who developed a cooler to keep vaccines cold during delivery to developing countries.
Just thank you to Mr. ALDAG for doing this. We really appreciate it. It's been an extremely valuable experience that we wouldn't have gained without his support for this university. So we really want to thank him for everything he's done.
It's just been such a great learning experience.
Now the money will be used to develop a patent and prototype for the cooler. A new fabric shop opened today in Tuscaloosa. Joanne Fabrics is located on Veterans Memorial Parkway in the former Hancock Fabric Store. The big news wasn't just the grand opening, but the $2,000 donation the store gave to Northington Elementary School. The store is giving away gift cards to the first 100 customers tomorrow and Saturday as part of their grand opening. The Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office is spreading the word about the recent scams happening around the area. The majority of the victims affected are elderly residents. Many of the latest ripoffs have been placed through telephone calls. Tuscaloosa County criminal investigator Jessica McDaniel says there are some warning signs you can look out for.
If someone contacts you after business hours, late night hours, if they want you to stay on the phone, tell you not to hang up, don't speak with anybody, don't answer any phone calls. If they create a panic or a rush.
Now, if you receive a request for personal information or money on any platform, always call the official requesting agency for verification. Walker County residents will gather next week to help prevent and honor victims of domestic violence. The Candlelight Vigil will be hosted by Carrie Kasem. She is the daughter of Casey Kasem and founder of the Kasem Cares Foundation. Victim representative Deborah Bowie will also be in attendance, sharing the story of her sister Sharon, who was murdered in 1994. The event will be held at the Jasper Civic Center on April 4th, starting at 6 p.m. Still to come for you tonight on the news at 10, members of the art community were honored tonight. We will take you to their ceremony. Also, train safety is becoming a huge conversation around the Tuscaloosa community after a video surfaced of University of Alabama students jumping between rail cars. We'll have that story and more right after this. President Trump announced his new pick for Labor Secretary at a news conference today. During the news conference, the president covered several topics and lashed out at the media. Kristen Holmes has more. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Tamika Alexander. Jack Royer has the night off. Tonight, the Tuscaloosa City Schools Board of Education voted to allow testing for asbestos at Central Elementary School. Board members told us the testing will be conducted by a third party. a company called Guardian located in Leeds. Tonight's vote comes after months of pressure and concerns from parents and members of Tuscaloosa's chapter of the NAACP about air quality in and around Central Elementary and West Lawn Middle School. In March, the Alabama Department of Environmental Management reported that the air quality at both schools was fine and that no dust emissions were observed. Board members told us the testing is expected to take between 3 and 5 business days and will cost about $1,200, which will be paid for by the NAACP. A series that is a hit with young people that you can only see on Netflix has Tuscaloosa school administrators concerned. Today, Tuscaloosa City School Superintendent Dr. Mike Daria sent out an email asking families to find out if their children are watching 13 Reasons Why. It's a Netflix original series about a high school student who leaves behind tape recordings detailing why she took her own life. The show depicts strong and graphic themes of suicide, bullying, sexual assault, drug use, and more. Content Dr. Daria feels certain students may be vulnerable to. The Birmingham City School System has a new superintendent. The board voted for Dr. Lisa Herring tonight. Some parents and Birmingham residents criticized the process that led up to tonight's decision, questioning why none of the original 5 candidates were from Alabama. Dr. Herring works for Jefferson County Public Schools in Louisville, Kentucky. Apartments, duplexes, condominiums, and shopping centers, they all bring more people to Tuscaloosa who use our roads, water, and sewer. Should developers help pay for improvements to the city's infrastructure? That's one of the items discussed at today's Finance Committee meeting, and WVUA 23's Jabari Pruitt was there, and he joins us live with more. And Jabari, what happened?
Well, Tamika, it took about 2 hours before the Finance Committee recommended a service impact fee to multifamily attached houses. During Tuesday's Finance Committee meeting, the committee recommended to enact the city's first ever impact service fees to new multifamily attached houses of 100 bedrooms. The money will be used for maintaining the city's water and sewer systems and public safety. Since 2005, the city's population has grown by over 18%. The city says as the population grows, they need to provide new residents with the same level of service as the existing population receives. The city will continue discussions on whether it will also include commercial developments.
A fee that most communities in the nation apply, and we just don't and have not done that, and so we're trying to play catch up a little bit. Most developers who develop here expect to pay it.
There will be 2 public hearings about the service fees on May 9th and May 16th. And Mayor Walt Maddox says he wants to increase the role of tourism plays in Tuscaloosa's economy. The mayor met with the Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports Commission Tuesday. He says the economy is changing and the city needs to change with it. The mayor says the city can no longer depend on big box stores to support your government.
If tourism says all we are is tourism, then I think we're going to miss out. And I think looking at what we can do to utilize our Tourism and Sports Commission to not only do those functions, but expand into creating events and promotions that gets people here to Tuscaloosa to spend money, I think it's going to be critical.
Currently, there are 3 positions open at the Tourism and Sports Commission office. During the meeting, it was decided to hire a new CEO and hold off on filling the other 2. 60 children will benefit from the Hope Initiative Summer Jobs Program. The city agreed on a contract with the Westside Community Action Council. The 7-week-long program focuses on team building, money management, personal character, and career planning. Now, the program targets teens and young adults living in Hope Initiative zones. Now, these zones are Rosedale Court, Forester Gardens, Downing Place, Creekwood Village, John England Manor, and Hay Court, Beach Street, East Tuscaloosa, and Alberta, and also University Manor. Now, this was started back in 2009 based on high crime stats. Reporting live from the studio, Jabari Pruitt, WVUA 23 News.
Thanks, Jabari. Turning to the weather, Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott joins us now with the first look at the forecast. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Tamika, not bad this evening across the board. Temperatures back at the 60s. Got upper 50s up in North Alabama. Jasper up to Haleyville and Coleman. Upper 50s there, but for the Tuscaloosa area and points south, we are pretty mild this evening. Had some clouds move across the area, across northwest portions of central Alabama. Again, those will move out tonight. We'll have kind of mixture clouds and sun for our Wednesday. Here's your forecast model. Going to be a warm day. We'll top out in the mid-80s, but rain comes in Wednesday night. In fact, here's around midnight Wednesday night into the pre-dawn hours Thursday morning. Heavier rain over South Alabama, but we'll talk about more rain chances coming up in a little bit, Tamika.
Thanks, Richard. After a half dozen car break-ins during the past few days, the Tuscaloosa Police Department is still trying to get people to lock their car doors. WVUA-23's Chelsea Barton has more.
Lock it or lose it. That's the message Tuscaloosa police are stressing once again after another string of car break-ins.
You don't want to give anyone the opportunity to take what's not theirs.
With no damages to any of the windows or doors, Tuscaloosa police believe all of the vehicles were left unsecured, creating room for these opportunity crimes to take place.
They're checking door handles to see what doors are open, so it's imperative that when you leave your car, you check to make sure that your doors are locked and your windows are secure.
Good girl. University of Alabama sophomore Melinda Mangiaracina lives at the retreat at Lake Tamaha. That's where the majority of the most recent car break-ins occurred.
If you are going to leave something in your car, to leave it out of sight, not sitting on the dash or on the seat somewhere, and definitely make sure your doors are locked, windows are up, that kind of thing. I know in the summer it's easy to leave your windows down, hoping to air out the car a little bit, but it is important to take precaution.
But Lieutenant TEENA Richardson with Tuscaloosa Police Department says you can never be too careful.
These days and times, locking it up in the glove box or in the trunk is not good enough, so it's best to remove it from the vehicle totally.
Although she feels safe living in the gated apartment complex, Mangiaracina tells us she now realizes crimes like this can happen anywhere to anyone.
It is pretty disturbing just because you think you're safe and you sometimes take it for granted, just the amount of police presence between the University Police and Tuscaloosa Police, but you just have to be aware that there are always risks and you have to take as many precautions as you can.
And Richardson tells us she does not know the extent of what was taken, but a handgun was stolen in one of the latest break-ins. A Birmingham woman who killed her husband collected his Social Security benefits for almost 7 years. A federal grand jury indicted 71-year-old Opal Elaine Tillman on 5 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of theft of government property for claiming her dead husband's benefits from 2009 to 2016. Tillman was sentenced to 35 years in prison for her husband's death in 1988, but was released in 1996. Prosecutors believe she stole about $168,000 from taxpayers. An inmate that escaped last week is back in custody, but another is still on the run. 38-year-old Bobby Lee Taylor was arrested Monday in the Elmore County town of Deatsville, but 29-year-old Ryan Edward Wilson is still at large. Wilson and Taylor escaped together from a work release center in Loxley last week. If you have seen Wilson, call 911. Investigators arrested 55-year-old Presley Jack Johnson Jr. of Coleman Sunday and charged him with electronic solicitation of a minor. Witnesses say Johnson sent sexual text messages to a child. The investigation is ongoing and Johnson could face more charges. The University of Alabama and the city of Tuscaloosa are teaming up to help keep students and Druid City residents safe. University police are deploying Shot Spotter technology in and around campus. Shot Spotter uses audio sensors placed on top of buildings. When the sensors pick up the sound of gunfire, they send police an automated message. Other loud sudden noises like fireworks or car backfires get filtered out. Police hope Shot Spotter will help get officers and first responders to the site of a shooting much quicker than waiting for someone to call 911. Well, if you need a job, there's a resource on the University of Alabama campus that could help you, the CULVERHOUSE College of Commerce. Today, the college hosted a job fair at the McDonald-Hughes Center. Job seekers could meet and leave their resumes with 26 different employers. Chick-fil-A, the University of Alabama, and TSA Homeland Security are just a few of the employers taking interviews during today's fair. UA graduate assistant Jessica Stull says it's great to see so many people taking advantage of the LIFT program, which stands for Learning Initiative and Financial Training.
So I love days like days like today where we're able to actually see that truly come to be. I recognize so many people coming through these doors from our classes, and it's so much more comfortable for them because they see these familiar faces, and I know that they're just going to do great today.
The community program offers 9-week classes teaching modern-day working skills like Microsoft Word and Excel, along with business development. Sign up for classes at CULVERHOUSE.UA.EDU/lift. Still to come for you tonight on the news at 10. He's sticking around for a few more years. Find out what football fans in the Druid City think about the Tide extending head coach Nick Saban's contract. Also, airlines are raking in the cash. Find out how much Americans paid for their baggage last year when we come back.
At 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Tamika Alexander. Topping tonight's news, we are just 9 hours away from the special election for the U.S. Senate seat formerly held by U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions. WVUA 23's Jabari Pruitt joins us live. And Jabari, you talk with both parties today, the Democrats and the Republicans.
Well, Tamika, 16 candidates from both parties are vying to claim the nomination without having a runoff for the U.S. Senate seat, and both parties believe they have the best candidates. Will Boyd, Van Caldwell, Jason Fisher, Michael Hansen, Doug Jones, Robert Kennedy Jr., and Charles Nana. One of these 7 candidates will win the Democratic Party nomination for the U.S. Senate seat once held by U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Election officials predict a low voter turnout Tuesday, 20 to 25%. Alabama Democrats haven't won a U.S. Senate election in the state since 1992.
We feel that we have some good choices on our side, people who are strong on policy and will do things that are meaningful for people who live here in Tuscaloosa, Northport, Cottondale, and all over Tuscaloosa County.
Nick Rose, chairman of the Tuscaloosa County Democratic Party, says his party would like to see a senator with statesmanship skills in the seat.
Obviously, you're going to be a representative of the people of Alabama, and you're going to be going up there and representing our wants and our needs. And that's what we need.
On the Republican side, 9 candidates want to continue the GOP's winning ways in Alabama. Luther Strange, Roy Moore, Mo Brooks, Randy Brinson, Brian Peoples, Tripp Pittman, James Beretta, Mary Maxwell, and Joseph Rialt all want the Republican Party's nomination.
I would think that the voters would want whoever the eventual nominee of our party and winner, who will be a Republican, to remember what we want and our values and our principles.
Luther Strange currently holds the seat after he was appointed by former Governor Robert Bentley. Monday, President Donald Trump tweeted more support for Strange. But recent polls show Strange in second place behind former Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore, with Congressman Mo Brooks in third place.
They want the candidate to be very conservative. Jeff Sessions was one of the most conservative.
The polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. In the likely event of a runoff, the primary runoff election is September 26. Live tonight from the studio, Jabari Pruitt, WVUA 23 News.
Thanks, Jabari. Walker County residents will have more to vote for than the U.S. Senate race. A sales tax increase is on the ballot as well. County leaders say the county is in debt and the money is desperately needed to avoid bankruptcy. If passed, residents will pay 1% more on purchases made in the county. Walker County borrowed nearly $10 million 15 years ago, and now it owes more than double what it borrowed. Payments are scheduled to begin next year. Turning now to the weather, Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott joins us now with a first look at the forecast. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Tamika, certainly mild and muggy this evening across Alabama. The rain's out here, but we have a few showers across North Mississippi. Those will impact areas north of Tuscaloosa tonight. I do expect a pretty good chance for showers and storms tomorrow. 78 in Tuscaloosa, 76 in Birmingham. Temperatures will warm back into low 90s tomorrow. Going to be a pretty hot afternoon, but storms will develop, and those are going to cool some areas off, especially during the mid-afternoon, but certainly going to be a warm and humid day. Of course, got the big solar eclipse coming up on a Monday. We'll talk about your forecast for that coming up in just a little bit.
One man is dead after his vehicle went over a bridge and into the Warrior River in Cordova. According to Alabama State Troopers, 24-year-old Travis Randall Remington of Jasper was driving a 2012 Hyundai that ran off the road around 1 this morning. A dive team recovered Remington and his vehicle in the river off of Interstate 22 around 7:30 this morning. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities recovered the body of a missing man from Lay Lake this morning. The search began Sunday around 11 a.m. and centered on an area near Waxahachie Creek. The man's identity has not been released. Tuscaloosa police need your help identifying and tracking down a suspect after the McDonald's on 12th Street in downtown Tuscaloosa was robbed. It happened around 9 this morning. Police say the suspect robbed a McDonald's employee on their way to the bank to make a deposit. The suspect is described as a black male, and police are not sure how much money he stole. If you have any information on this case, call Crime Stoppers at 205-752-STOP. You could be eligible for a cash reward, and you do not have to give your name. A popular animal control program that lost funding last year is back. WVUA 23's Molly Catherine Walsh joins us live from the newsroom with more on T-SNP. Molly.
Well, Tamika, the program that allowed over 500 feral cats to be fixed last year has been reinstated. T-SNP uses a trap-neuter return system to reduce the local feral cat population. Dr. Lucy Roberts is a veterinarian at the Animal Medical Center in Northport. She volunteers her services to T-SNP, analyzes data on cats that are brought in, cats that are euthanized, and where those cats come from.
And that turns into being good for human health. If we have too many feral cats, that turns out to create pollution and dangers for the humans around them too. And so there will always be cats. We're not trying to exterminate cats, but we are trying to help them control the populations where it's safe, it's livable, it's manageable.
Cats are territorial creatures. Spaying or neutering a cat and putting it back to where it was found allows the fixed cats to use up the food and shelter in that location and keep new cats away. Humane traps like these are set in parking lots and behind buildings. Volunteers bring the trapped cats into local participating clinics, and the funding for T-SNP from the city was cut last year, but Dr. Roberts says it's a relief to have it back.
This program, in terms of cost, when you're fixing 500 cats in a year, there's some cost to that, but it's cheaper than rounding those cats up and euthanizing them, and it's more effective. We're seeing lower cat intake each year at Metro.
T-SNP has an application in with Tuscaloosa County for funding for 2018. You can find out more about the program, including how to get a trap, online at tsnp.org. Live in the newsroom, Molly Catherine Walsh, WVUA 23 News.
United Way of West Alabama is getting ready to kick off their 2017 fundraising campaign. United Way will announce this year's fundraising goal during a luncheon tomorrow at the Bryant Conference Center, and they will get some help from former UA gymnastics coach Sarah Patterson. She's the chairwoman of this year's fundraising campaign. The event is a hot ticket and is completely sold out. United Way of West Alabama partners with nearly 30 agencies across West Alabama to support health, education, and financial stability.
United Way adds so much credibility to our agency. We're proud to be a partner agency for United Way, but financially, they absolutely make things possible for our patients that we couldn't do without them.
You can find out more about United Way's fundraising campaign, the agencies and services they support, and make a donation all online at uwwa.org. An Alabama National Guard unit is heading overseas soon. The Dothan-based 186 Engineer Company is going on active duty. Officials have not said where the 160-member unit will be stationed, but it will be working under U.S. Central Command, which supervises anti-terrorism operations. The 186 specializes in constructing airfields, building foundations, and roads. Today, President Trump signed a memorandum paving the way for a possible investigation into China's unfair trade practices. The document directs a U.S. trade representative to determine if an investigation is needed. It's the first step in potentially allowing Trump to take punitive action against China over trade. Trump's order looks closely at Chinese theft of U.S. intellectual property, which by one estimate costs the U.S. economy up to $600 billion a year. Still to come, she's created some of television's hottest shows, and now she's spreading her golden TV ticket to Netflix. And speaking of spreading, Alabama health officials are worried about whooping cough hitting our state hard. Those stories and much more right after this. Apartments, duplexes, condominiums, and shopping centers, they all bring more people to Tuscaloosa who use our roads, water, and sewer. Should developers help pay for improvements to the city's infrastructure? That's one of the items discussed at today's Finance Committee meeting, and WVUA 23's Jabari Pruitt was there, and he joins us live with more. And Jabari, what happened?
Well, Tamika, it took about 2 hours before the Finance Committee recommended a service impact fee to multifamily attached houses. During Tuesday's Finance Committee meeting, the committee recommended to enact the city's first ever impact service fees to new multifamily attached houses of 100 bedrooms. The money will be used for maintaining the city's water and sewer systems and public safety. Since 2005, the city's population has grown by over 18%. The city says as the population grows, they need to provide new residents with the same level of service as the existing population receives. The city will continue discussions on whether it will also include commercial developments.
A fee that most communities in the nation apply, and we just don't and have not done that, and so we're trying to play catch up a little bit. Most developers who develop here expect to pay it.
There will be 2 public hearings about the service fees on May 9th and May 16th. And Mayor Walt Maddox says he wants to increase the role of tourism plays in Tuscaloosa's economy. The mayor met with the Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports Commission Tuesday. He says the economy is changing and the city needs to change with it. The mayor says the city can no longer depend on big box stores to support your government.
If tourism says all we are is tourism, then I think we're going to miss out. And I think looking at what we can do to utilize our Tourism and Sports Commission to not only do those functions, but expand into creating events and promotions that gets people here to Tuscaloosa to spend money, I think it's going to be critical.
Currently, there are 3 positions open at the Tourism and Sports Commission office. During the meeting, it was decided to hire a new CEO and hold off on filling the other 2. 60 children will benefit from the Hope Initiative Summer Jobs Program. The city agreed on a contract with the Westside Community Action Council. The 7-week-long program focuses on team building, money management, personal character, and career planning. Now, the program targets teens and young adults living in Hope Initiative zones. Now, these zones are Rosedale Court, Forester Gardens, Downing Place, Creekwood Village, John England Manor, and Hay Court, Beach Street, East Tuscaloosa, and Alberta, and also University Manor. Now, this was started back in 2009 based on high crime stats. Reporting live from the studio, Jabari Pruitt, WVUA 20.